Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Thatbloke Z, and I'm here to share with you a special treat. I've got my friend here, Matt, in case anyone was even bothered, and we're ready to do our top fives. Right? We've picked out three for now. We've got our top five hardest games, our top five favourite games, and our top five worst games of all time. So, we're gonna give off our number five and take it in turns arguing why the other person's a fucking idiot. So we'll start off with, what do you want to go with first, Matt?
Ugh. You can go first.
Alright, we'll go hardest games then. So, number five on my list, I picked this game for one particular moment, and that was Broken Sword. When you go to Ireland and come across that fucking goat, that goddamn goat, every time. I fucking hate that goat. Everyone struggles on the goddamn goat, and that is why it's on my number five on the hardest games. Did you ever play Broken Sword?
I never really got round to that one.
No, you don't like those kind of games, do you?
No, I like, an actual bit of gameplay.
You don't like
Rather
thinking
than
then.
just poke out the ruby,
Replace all intelligent aspects of a game and replace it with shiny things and explosions and mats all over it. So what's your number five of
Right,
hardest
my number
game?
five has got to be Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
That was the easiest fucking game. Was that with
Right.
Tails?
It was the one game I could never
That was
complete.
Sonic
The
and
last boss
Tails.
every time.
That was Sonic and fucking Tails, wasn't it? Or was that Sonic 3?
No, it was Sonic 2, Sonic and Tails, that was right.
Sonic and fucking Tails was the easiest. I must have been about 6 years old. Completed that with my sister.
Yeah, well, I would have been about the same age and I could not get past that fucking last boss. Robo Sonic and then another boss straight afterwards.
Robo Sonic was the easiest. All you had to do was whack him in the face. Alright, whatever. So, my number four is probably a really obvious one. I picked the impossible game, the one where you're a red square and you have to just jump and jump and jump, and the whole idea is you memorize the entire level, and I found it that difficult. I don't consider it a truly valid game, which is why it's only ranked number four instead of number one, but it is really fucking hard. Yeah, I never even got past the first level. It was too hard.
You didn't get past the first level.
No, I could never do it. I
Now,
even
most people at least get to like level 5 before they completely
I
quit
don't
on it.
I think there's only three levels. People don't get past the fucking levels, mate.
How do you know that then?
Because there's about 5 million YouTube videos with people just trying to commit suicide playing that game, not getting past the first level, and people are celebrated as fucking heroes if they actually complete one.
It might explain Japan's suicide rate.
Hmm. So what's your number four?
Number 4 for me is Dark Souls.
That
That
is
game drove me insane.
a really, really wise choice. I'm proud of
The
you, man.
game would actually change.
Yeah.
I would die, and I'd come back to it ready to take it on again, and there'd be an even bigger dick there. Or he'd be on the other side of the room, and he would just come out and smash me across the face.
It's a wise choice. It is a wise choice, and I applaud that. That's although number four on your list, I'm pretty curious as to what's higher. Mine, number three, is I don't know if anyone played this, but on PlayStation, one, the first PlayStation, X Files.
No, I never played that one.
It was basically they're taking loads of photographs and stuff, and you'd have to traverse through the photographs and find evidence and shit. And it was impossible. Probably because I was young, but I remember sitting there and playing that and having no clue what was going on, and when I'd find a piece of evidence, I had no idea what it was, but somehow I'd succeeded and moved on to the next area or whatever, and I ended up getting up to this boat, and the boat was ridiculous, and I hate it. I ended up quitting the game. I think I snapped that disc in half. So, what's your number three?
My number 3 is the gameplay was not actually that hard. You could easily master it. It was the logic side of it. Silent Hill. I despise that game with a passion.
How old were you when you were playing that? I must have been about 14, maybe.
I'd have been about probably 12.
Hang on, that can't be right then. I was probably about the same.
That game put me beyond my patience. The first riddle it asked me was play this piano, and unless you can actually read sheet music,
That sounds more like Resident Evil. Are you sure that's...
so they were a similar genre of games. But the first one was you got given sheet music, and unless you actually knew how to play a piano and read sheet music, you could not play. You could not get past the first riddle. In the end, I used a guide and got past it.
I never... I don't really like those kind of games.
Yeah.
Like
So the
horror.
second riddle is what killed me.
Right, so my number 2 is Olympic Games.
Oh, that was horrible.
They're
That
all
was-
horrible.
That was
they
evil.
go, here you go, here's a cool Olympic game. Why don't you play like you're super fucking sports guy, whatever. And you go, here you go, now sprint for the next 500 fucking meters. And you're sitting there smashing that bastard button for fucking ages, and then you end up getting arm ache like you've been wanking like a pro. And you need to change finger, but that's not happening, so you change hand. And then you end up completely changing your pace, going too slow. And then you have to switch back to your aching arm. Ah, horrible, hate it. And then it's like, well done, now you have to do the swimming fucking event. And it's like, no, I'd rather not. My arm's really tired.
Are you sure your fitness level wasn't the downfall of that game?
I might be fat. But I'm pretty sure I can move my arm pretty well. And no, I can tap buttons like the fucking best of them. But that's just mean. That game's just mean. You can't play more than 5-10 minutes of that game before you're knackered. So what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Shadow of Colossus.
Really?
The biggest bitch of a game that I ever played. And don't get me wrong, it was good fun,
Right, good. I was about to bounce on you then.
but I was sick and tired of climbing a boss the size of a mountain
Yeah.
to just that one little stab point in his head to kill him, and then fall off. And then I'd have to start the entire climb again, providing I survived the fall.
Yeah, it wasn't so difficult. May have been annoying.
It annoyed me beyond a point. I never completed that game. The bosses always got bigger and harder.
Alright, so of the world's most difficult game you've ever played in your entire life, what is it?
My utter most difficult game has got to be Death Trap Dungeon.
That
I
is
hate that game.
Is that the one... Right, let's, for clarification's sake, is that the one where if you could be on the very last dungeon and hit the very last trap and die, you start the whole game again, or is it the one where you get given codes so you can go back to the levels?
No, this was the game where your swords had ammunition.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's the one.
Okay. If you tripped over, fell down a trap, which weren't that well graphically displayed, so they looked like part of the wall,
Yeah,
then yes, you started the game again.
oh yeah, that's the one. I remember playing that for about 4 hours straight, and I eventually got so far I'd never been that far before in my life. And I got hit by a nothing and died and had to start the whole fucking game again.
That game was unbelievably hard.
So I think that you're absolutely spot on that one, and I did want to pick that, but I remembered too late, so I figured there's no point changing my list. So I picked Battletoads.
Which is a hideous game.
It is in itself. I really loved that game as a kid. I fucking loved it, but also thinking back, I never completed it ever. Ever.
I don't think there's many people out there that have completed Battletoads, mate.
Right. So, if anyone actually watches this, you guys decide, man. Whose list there out of our two is, and don't take his number 1 into consideration. That was blatantly the hardest game ever. It doesn't count. Alright.
It was a legitimate PlayStation game, it counts.
Fine, whatever, mate. So, favourite games then? These are your personal all-time favourite top 5 games of all time.
Yeah, no, I've got a good 5 for that.
Right, good. So, you start then. What's your number 5?
My number 5 has got to be Hogs of War.
Oh, goddamn, that was such a good game. I fucking loved that game so much. Why did I not think of it?
I loved that game beyond doubt. I used to pick 5 pigs, I'd level them up, and it was like playing Worms 3D at the time.
I fucking loved that game so much. That took so much of my time. So I picked Abe's Odyssey.
Oh, I wish I'd picked it.
Fuck, I'll swap you.
No, I'll keep me on to war. Have Abe's Odyssey.
You can't.
Forgotten about that one.
Right, number 4 then. What's your number 4?
Right, number 4 has got to be Soul Reaper.
Oh, that was another good game. Damn, you're on a roll on this one.
That game, it was probably the first platform game I ever played where it actually had a story that made sense.
Yeah, I'll roll with that. It was also wicked picking shit up and launching it and impaling it and crucifying it and whatnot.
Oh, that was an added bonus. Or throwing things in acid or in sunlight or just generally...
So, I was tossing up my number 4 for quite a while. I ended up scribbling 3 names out. I scribbled out Crash Bandicoot. I scribbled out Siphon Filter. And I put this one in first, but it really quickly got scribbled out. I put World of Warcraft because it occupied a huge amount of my time, but I know a game that occupied more of my time. Morrowind.
Morrowind's only number 4 on your list.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised at that one.
I know, but I couldn't bring myself to remove any highs. The ones above it just deserved that spot. So Morrowind, despite the fact that I spent an unprecedented amount of time on Morrowind, it's number 4 on my list. It was awesome. Loved that.
I'll agree with that. That was a pretty good game.
So you're number 3 then?
My number 3 is actually World of Warcraft, but Burning Crusade.
I am on your side with that.
That game was amazing. It kept me occupied for so long. I enjoyed it, and it was difficult.
Yeah, I'll roll with you on that. My number 3 was Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah, no, I will definitely agree with you there.
I really like that game a lot. Nothing more to be said about that, really. So, number 2.
My number 2 is also Final Fantasy VIII.
Well done. Well done. I had my eye on you there. So, that was pretty easy. So, my number 2 is Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, it was a good game. I will give you that.
I was tossing up for ages, which is better, 10 or 8, and I was thinking, ooh, the only way I could decide it was what would I rather play right now, and 10's got the graphics, so.
Personally, I think you made a bad choice there.
I know.
10 should have been your number 3.
I know, 8 was better than 10 on story and everything except graphics. So you're number 1, your most favourite game of all time.
My favourite game of all time goes without question. It is Final Fantasy VII.
Mine is Final Fantasy VII. Without doubt. The greatest game ever.
Also, with the greatest boss ever.
Which one?
Sephiroth.
God damn right it was Sephiroth.
Well, I'm not exactly going to say President Shinra now, am I?
Hell no. Or the fucking emerald weapon.
Which I still to date have not beaten. And yes, I'm still playing Final Fantasy VII.
Damn straight, I've got that on my PlayStation through there.
Yeah, it's on my PlayStation 3.
And then, worst games of all time. Your worst, you want to fucking murder the publishers for ever producing this shit. Of all time. So, you had the lead on the last one, so I'm going to take it. I'm going to put on this one, and you're going to call me a hypocritical piece of shit for this. But my number 5 is The Sims.
You are a hypocritical piece of shit.
And the reason I put this on there is, well, there's a couple. Firstly, I consider it heroin. You put The Sims on and you go, I'll give it a quick go. 12 hours later, you fucking like, this game's shit. And then you realise it's been 12 hours.
I refuse to play Sims just out of principle.
Right, yeah,
But
exactly.
this is coming from the same person that just spent the last 3 weeks playing it non-straight.
Yeah, I couldn't help myself. It's what I do. I jump into a game and I do it to completion. I can't help it. With The Sims, it's this annoying fucking cycle because I end up getting into a routine, and then I set myself a goal, and then I end up achieving the goal, and it takes weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks until I finally achieve a goal, and I'm like, what's the point? I hate this fucking game, and I've officially uninstalled all this morning. So all my Sims are gone off this computer until Sims 4 comes out, and I can repeat the fucking cycle like I have done continuously. I'm a junkie, leave me alone. So what's your number 5 of worst games ever?
My number 5, it's got to be Crusaders of Might and Magic.
Really? Which one? The first one?
No, Crusaders.
Yeah, there's...
It would probably be number 4.
Oh yeah, the Heroes of Might and Magic. Yeah. Crusaders of Might and Magic.
Yeah.
Why?
I went all the way through that game.
Right.
I got through every boss, everything, and when I finally got to the last boss, the game doesn't actually work.
Was that your disc or what?
No, this was the actual game. Okay, I had a friend, he played the exact same game as me, he couldn't figure out, I couldn't figure out, and in the end I gave up. But I used to run around, bash this guy with a sword, you'd get him to the last bit of health, he'd go in the middle, start doing something, and that was the end of the game.
That reminds me of Rome Total War. I spent fucking ages perfecting everything, moving forward. Finally, I got to this position where I wanted to consolidate my power, and a little box came up saying "You win" with an OK button, and I went OK, and it took me to the main menu. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was fucking raging. So
But, there was no ending. It was just he stood there in the middle, and you just ran around. He didn't attack you. You couldn't do anything to him.
that sounds really weird.
Yeah.
So my number 4, I did have. What the hell did I write there? I've scribbled it out too good. I can't read it anymore. Oh, I remember. It was FIFA Manager, because they haven't changed the mechanics since 1990 fucking odd, and they're just a bunch of money grabbing bastards. But I changed it to Bien Tot La fucking 8A, because that game was garbage. I hated that game. Hated it. And all I want to do is for everyone in the world to look at that on Steam and then go, hang on, before I click purchase this fucking game, how about I click on YouTube, type in, should I buy Bien Tot La fucking 8A, see my video come up and see me just going, what the fucking game is this? Garbage shitbag wank. Puh, puh, French cunts.
I will let you have that one. I saw your video and
Hate that game. I hate it. It's looking.
I'm still not sure what it's supposed to have been about.
I don't know either. It was garbage. So what's your number 4?
My number 4 has got to be Final Fantasy X-2.
Oh.
That game was horrible.
I
especially
agree.
after the amazing game that came before it. Final Fantasy X was good. Final Fantasy X-2 was some weird thing about chick power that made no sense, and I couldn't get my head around it.
Alright. So my number 3 was London Racer. Were you ever familiar with that game?
No.
It came out around the same time as Crash Bandicoot. Probably the first or second one.
I was probably playing Crash Bandicoot.
So I got it because all the other racers were like Gran Turismo, probably 1 or 2. I like the idea of like the street racing aspect. The only problem was that every fucking time you'd hit an invisible fucking wall in the middle of the street. You'd be driving along and bang into a fucking nothing. And all the other drivers would just go straight past you, and you'd have to reverse and go around this nothing. And every time you took a knock, you'd have to repair your car. And you didn't get enough income because you'd crash into an invisible wall and lose the fucking race. And I refused to give up on that game until I completed it, and I ended up spending nearly 48 hours on that game until I finally beat it, and then I took it out of the PlayStation, snapped it in half, so that I'd never play it again. I hated that game so fucking much.
Sounds like addictive nature.
It was terrible. Terrible. Right, so what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Stargate on the Sega Mega Drive.
On the Sega Mega Drive.
I hated that game. That took up so much of my time.
The 2D one, right?
Yeah, the 2D one. You would run across, you had your little machine gun, you'd shoot bugs, and the only way you could kill anything would be to hang off a ledge and throw grenades over the ledge. And you would spend half the game doing that.
Do you
You
realise that
run
you
the
can
ledge.
just run past them? You know,
I
for
was not
90.
aware of that at the time, no, but that would probably make the game even worse. It would just be a game of running.
That's exactly what it is. You know, for 99% of the game, you can just run straight past everything. It's ridiculous. Alright, so my number 2 is Final Fantasy X-2.
Yeah, fair choice.
And I'm honestly shocked you put yours lower. Oh, by the way, for anyone who's watching this, we didn't know what each other's lists would be. So, that's why we're insulting each other at the same time. So,
To mention that at the beginning.
yeah, I just wanted to make it clear. Final Fantasy X-2 is number 2, and I can't believe you put it lower. Simply put. You better blow my mind with your number 2.
No, I think you'll agree it's a pretty bad game.
Go on then.
My number 2 is Alien Colonial Marines.
No, I'd rather play Alien Colonial Marines than Final Fantasy X-2.
No, Final Fantasy X-2 at least worked.
No, not really.
I hate that game.
Do you know how
I
long I
first
played?
started that game, my main weapon disappeared, so I could only use the shotgun.
That's on the console, isn't it?
Yeah, it was on the console.
After watching my video ripping on people for using it on a console.
Wasn't your video recorded on the console though?
No. Oh, the actual video itself. Yeah, it was to prove a point. Because that was no, because that was the footage they showed. This is what the game's gonna be like, and that was on the console. And then anyone who played it on a frigging console, it didn't look anything like that. So I put that footage special. But no, for the PC, I mean I rated it fairly, and the only reason that it got above a 5 is because everyone was saying it was something it wasn't. In my books, anyway. But do you know how long I played Alien Colonial Marines?
Go on then.
About 4 hours. Before I was utterly and completely sick of it.
That's about 2 hours longer than me.
Right. Do you know how long I played Final Fantasy X-2?
Go on.
About 46 minutes. Give or
I
take.
actually got halfway through the game.
No, I turned it on. I went, what the fucking hell's going on here? This doesn't make any sense with the lore. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's ridiculous. So I carried on anyway and realised that Yuna the Summoner and the whole world was opposed to fucking machines who just killed Sin. Realised, yay, Sin's dead. Let's all go build all the fucking machines again. And then decided to just go running around shooting shit up. And I was like, that doesn't even make any sense. And then I got into the battle mechanics and realised the battle mechanics had been completely overhauled into something completely garbage, and I just turned it off.
I was also impressed how Yuna forgot how to summon.
It's quite an impressive feat.
You'd think spending all that time going up worshipping Guardian Stones and things like that, you would remember how to summon.
Why not? Final Fantasy X-2 showed that entire fucking dimension, or that, you know, that plane of existence where this game took place, are a bunch of mouth-breathing window lickers. So I've cut out all the ranting because it went on too long. So my worst game of all time is World of Warcraft, Mr. fucking Panda. Pandarariba.
I'm going to save you some time. That's also number 1 in my list.
It may not be the beginning of the downfall of that game, but it's certainly the lowest point it's ever been.
Probably said the death point.
Well, it's certainly at the life or death point for the game itself, since they've had millions of people quit the game within a fucking span of months.
No, I actually played that game to level 90 as well. It got to the stage where if I just put my head on the keyboard and rolled back and forward, I would kill anything that came at me.
I didn't even play it. I didn't even buy Mr. Pandaria. In fact, I quit near the end of Cataclysm because they released some information on Pandaria that just sickened me.
I played it and I cannot believe how bad it was. I mean, the amount of change from Burning Crusade to that is, ugh.
Yep. You see, Wrath of the Lich King, they left shit alone, really. They didn't really do it until the patch came in. You know, the one where all the crybabies started crying about everything being too fucking hard.
Well, when you cater a game for children, it tends to leave the adults behind.
Yeah, but nearly all of its fan base was adults. Now they're all kids, and kids have short attention spans. No, they don't play it. I don't know, it's the downward spiral. You can either constantly bring in new people while shoving them out the back door, or you can try and get people to sit down and buy a drink, you know? And they kicked everyone out the club. I don't agree with that fucking... So there we go. There are our top fives. Hardest, favourite and worst games of all time. If you disagree, I don't know. You're probably never going to watch this anyway, so I don't give a fuck. So Matt, who would win in a fight between Dumbledore or Gandalf?
Dumbledore.
Why? Within his own restrictive law, he can only do so many spells. Within the Lord of the Rings law, Gandalf can do literally anything. He's like a god. He's over 2,000 years old and shit.
I will go with Dumbledore still.
Is that because you like him more?
No, not at all. I will go with Dumbledore on the pure fact it is that I've actually seen Dumbledore fight. I've seen him cast some freaky spells.
Yeah.
In every film in Lord of the Rings, the only thing I've seen Gandalf do is walk about 2,000 miles,
Yeah, that's the whole film.
whack his stick on a floor, and
Ish-
throw some fiery pine cones out the tree in the new film The Hobbit.
Oh, I didn't see that yet.
But that is all I've seen him done.
He also says, "You shall not pass."
And Dumbledore will go, well, okay then, pull out his wand and go, green lightning shit, you're dead.
Yeah, but he would never use that spell.
Oh, fine. He would go, here's a giant fiery ball of flame, you're dead.
A fiery ball of flame.
Yes, a fiery ball of flame. The fiery kind.
Alright, who would win between Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Warhorse?
Rudolph. Rudolph can fly.
Yeah, but Warhorse has seen that shit, man. It's got the 1,000-yard stare, man.
Warhorse spent the entire film running away. Or pulling a cart.
Yeah, plus Rudolph does have like the back heel kick and the antlers.
And the antlers, especially on the charge, I think Rudolph's the most dangerous. And the ability to attack from the air is a handy advantage.
Yeah, he could proper stuck her. He could stuck her in there. Okay. Alright, here's a good one then. Bruce Willis from Die Hard 1 versus Mel Gibson from Lethal Weapon 2.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Willis is hardcore, as we all know.
Yeah.
However, in Lethal Weapon 2, Mel Gibson's character went utterly psycho at certain points of that film.
Yep. I picked number 2 because in number 1 he was suicidal. In number 2 he was a bit nutty.
A bit nutty. He pulled a house down with a truck.
Same thing. Snickers. Bit nutty.
But then again, he did get shot several times in number 2.
Mm.
So effectively, if Bruce Willis wanted to, he could just bide his time and walk up and shoot him after he's been shot.
Yeah, but Bruce Willis got shot quite a few times as well. And he had loads of glass in his feet.
Yeah, but Bruce Willis saved himself. Whereas Mel Gibson had Danny Glover to save his ass at the end.
Mm. So you'd go Bruce Willis on that.
I would go Bruce Willis.
Interesting choice. That is an interesting choice, Matt. So, there we go. We're done.
Hallelujah.
Oh, you don't like these things, eh? Well, let's drag this shit out some more, then, shall we? Let's drag it out for the next few hours.
I